So, God of War TV adaptation. First off, why does everything need an adaptation now? Can we not just leave things in games? And not everything needs a TV, a live action adaptation. But regardless, Wheel of Time showrunner Rafe Judkins exits God of War TV adaptation as Sony and Amazon reportedly go in a different creative direction. Well, because we know how adaptations go when it comes to this stuff. I can't wait to watch Kratos struggling with his sexual identity. I can't wait to see him opening up and crying and really, trying to discover himself or rediscover himself. Can't wait for his son to come out as trans and all this other crap that they love forcing in. Rafe Judkins, the showrunner for Amazon's MGM Studios Wheel of Time series, has reportedly exited Amazon and Sony's in development live action God of War series due to Sony and Amazon wanting to go in a different creative direction. According to Joe Osterson of Variety, Judkins, who was slated to be the show's showrunner, exited alongside his fellow executive producers Hawk Otsby and Merc Fergus. Other exits come after they had reportedly completed multiple scripts for the series. As for the reason for their exit, Osterson shared it was due to Amazon and fellow studio Sony Picture Television deciding to go in a different creative direction. The series was initially announced back in December 2022, with Amazon revealing it would adapt the 2018 God of War games that saw Kratos living in Norway in the realm of the Norse gods rather than adapting the original games that saw him bring war to the Greek gods, which that would have been a lot more cool, just a lot cooler. That would have been, and it would have been great to see it kind of coincide with the remakes, or the not the remakes, but the remasters that are happening for God of War. The Greek, God of War games. So to see that come out maybe around the same time as the show, but nope, we had to go with the Norse stuff because he has a son, and he's more of a down to earth person who expresses his feelings. The company revealed a brief description. The show follows Kratos, the god of war, who, after exiling himself from his blood-soaked past in ancient Greece, hangs up his weapons forever in the Norse realm of Midgard. When his beloved wife dies, Kratos sets off on a dangerous adventure with his estranged son Atreus, and to spread her ashes from the highest peak. His wife's final wish. Kratos soon realizes that the journey is an epic quest in disguise, one which will test the bonds between father and son and force Kratos to battle new gods and monsters for the fate of the world. It's unclear what kind of different creative direction Amazon and Sony want that Judkins and his team were not offering. Judkins' work on Wheel of Time has been roundly panned by fans and Robert Jordan's books. YouTuber Nerd Cookies noted she quit the show after realizing how much of a departure it was from Jordan's books. She said it was if they were willing to change something as fundamental as the known sex of the Dragon Reborn, what else would they change? She continued, as I watched the rest of the first episode, it became clear that the producers of the series were using the books as more of a rough draft as opposed to a definitive source of knowledge. Knowledge. Huh, sounds kind of familiar. Kind of like what they're doing with Rings of Power. The same people who say that there is no canon in Tolkien's work also say that they're following the Legendarium closely. So, next she bluntly declared, I do declare, it's been my observation that the best adaptations of fantasy properties have been produced with a supreme reverence of source material, and it's apparent that this isn't one of those cases. Let's see, in just recent, when it comes to movies, the FNAF movie was really good. They truly made it for the fans. They made it to where anyone who doesn't know about FNAF could come in and enjoy it, but they stuck true to the spirit of FNAF. Detective Pikachu was really, really good. The Mario Brothers and the animated Mario Brothers movie that just came out not too like what last year or whatever, that was extremely good. Same thing for the fans, but also for anyone else because there isn't a person alive who doesn't know who Mario is. So anyone could go see that movie and still have a good time watching it. Um, but yeah, adaptations can work when they're made for the fans. You make it for the fans with some other stuff thrown in story wise to, kind of help the people unfamiliar with it along. Like kind of like with Warcraft. Warcraft movie was actually really good. Um, sure things were changed, but it was to kind of help those who weren't familiar with Warcraft lore. Like, oh, okay, I get what's going on here. Because of the lore in the game, starting from Warcraft, the first Warcraft game, it's just like, what? Who are these people, and what's going on? So they kind of had to condense lore and change things up a little bit just for the people who had, but it was still good. And I really wish it got a second movie. That would have been great. I was watching it. They have it on YouTube for free right now, and going through and seeing live action Gromosh and Kargath, and it was Gromosh, seeing a like Gorehowl, like a real Gorehowl on screen. I was like, oh my god, he looks so good. He looks so freaking good. Um, Seeing Kargath with his massive just blade attached to it, on his arm is so good looking. Um, and it's a shame that they are not making another one. But yeah, when you make it for the fans, but also make sure that you kind of throw things in for the people who may not be familiar with that IP. Again, Mario, FNAF, Pokemon. I mean, I think I heard a rumor that Detective Pikachu 2 is going to be coming out sometime soon, or it's going to be in the works or something. I just heard a rumor about it. I think it was from that Game Freak leak. So, I mean, I hope there's another Detective Pikachu movie. That movie was amazing. Um, sure, it was weird hearing Ryan Reynolds' voice come out of Pikachu's mouth, but it worked. He gave a lot of charm that was, I mean, Pikachu already has charm, but he took something like Pikachu and he kind of made it his own with his own humor and but it was a really good movie. And then to hear Pikachu's actual voice in the in the movie was like, yeah, there's Pikachu. Um so adaptations can work when you respect it. Rings of Power could have worked if they respected Tolkien's work. If they had stuck to what they said and oh yeah, we're gonna respect Tolkien's writings and we're not gonna add anything that isn't there. And if we add characters, they're not gonna have a huge impact on the plot because we're telling the story of the Second Age and blah blah blah. But then it's nothing like that. Instead, they just kind of do whatever they wanted. They're adding characters that don't exist, and then those characters that never actually existed are getting involved with characters that are huge to the story, like Galadriel, like Halbrand, Sauron. Halbrand was never a character. That's something they made up, but now they have have him in like a relationship type thing with Galadriel, or not really Halbrand now because he's kind of revealed to be Sauron at this point. But she's like, oh my god, I love him. It's like that never happened. That never happened. Um, so they're not respecting the work. And God of War is another one of those series that people adore. I mean, I remember playing it when it first came out. It's such a good game, and it still holds up well. Um, and so, given the fact that we've taken place, gone through ancient Greece, we're now taking, with the Norse gods and all that. It's a beloved series, and it should be easy with all the material. The games we have, I think, doesn't have like a comic or something, but there's so much material to work with, it'd be impossible to mess up. And yet, like I said, We're probably going to see someone struggling with their sexual identity. Um, and it's like, this isn't God of War. This isn't God of War. Um, of note, the sequel of the 2018 game, God of War Ragnarok, did just release on Steam, and its peak player count was less than half of 2018 God of War game. As reported by SteamDB, God of War Ragnarok hit a peak concurrent player of 35,000 about a month ago, just a few days after it became available to purchase on Steam. And then you can see it went from all-time peak was 35 down to 10. 2018 God of War hit a peak concurrent player count of 73,000. Wow. When it released on Steam back in 2022. Wow, that's a huge dip right there. 73,000 down to 3. That's insane. And his creative team exiting God. I want to I want whatever is going to make the show good happen. Whoever the toxic producers or writers or whoever, they need to leave. If you're going to mess up God of War, you need to get the hell out. We don't care about his fifis. We don't need him to be a freaking Lara Croft and crying every 2 seconds. You know, having Kratos as, you know, somewhat more sensitive because he does have a son that he needs to look after, and he definitely is more in tune with his manhood, I guess, since God of War. You know, he's not slaying gods anymore. He's not really angry anymore. You know, he's kind of settled down, and so it's okay for him to be open. It's okay for him to be the way he is in the games. Don't make him overly sensitive, like, oh, come here, son. You know, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't make him any different. Don't make his son any different. Don't just keep the characters the way they are. Just keep them the way they are. Um, you have plenty to work with. Plenty to work with. They've been doing the whole like Norse saga for a while now, so you have plenty of stuff to work with. Um, just adaptations work when you respect the source material. That's one thing that's been proven time and time again. Respect the source material, and the adaptation works. If you don't, well, you're just gonna piss a lot of people off, and it's not gonna end up the way you want. But yeah, if they have some kind of Kratos struggling or his son struggling with their sexual identity, just get that crap out of there. Doesn't belong there. It's God of War. It's not God of gender identity. Just get it out. We don't want it. That's why he feels like he has to be so masculine, because he's trying to cover the fact that he's struggling internally with his identity. No, get it out of there. Get it out. But respect to source material. Give the players, the viewers what they want. You succeed. Don't bring in anything that shouldn't be there. Just don't. Simple as that. Simple as that. What are we? Who am I kidding? We know they're not going to do that. We know they're going to go the Ring of Power, Rings of Power route and just start messing with lore and start making, you know, changes. And who are we kidding? Who are we kidding? Anyway, that's going to do for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.